Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to Brewing with Magic. Well, we have even more spoilers for you today, which also means we have Will with us. How you doing, Will?
Doing great. Hey, everybody.
Good to hear it. Is there anything you would like to say to everybody before I get into it for the day?
Oh man, I am super excited. We're really close to the new set coming out. All these new cards. This looks really fun. I cannot wait for new decks and some new competitive fun.
I hope you're all excited too. If you are and you want to make sure you keep up with everything that we're doing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Thank you all Brew Crew members for hitting it so far and getting us over 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget, we are going live September 24th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time to give away all kinds of fun stuff, including not one, but 2 boxes of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So check the description down below to find out everything I'm talking about. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's cards. First, we have Vanquish the Horde. It is 2 white and 6 colorless. Sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Destroy all creatures. So, I mean, anytime you're going to be casting something like, let's say, Wrath of God for 4 mana, there's probably at least going to be 4 creatures on the battlefield anyway. So this seems like it's going to see some play.
Oh yeah, I think 100%. It's especially right now we have so many creature-centric decks. It's just so fast that this could be a 2-drop board wipe. So, for board wipes for big decks, it's a great addition to like Azorius decks with more creature decks coming out, and being able to drop at a faster rate really does help, especially if you're trying to be more of that control package. But even if you're throwing it into a creature deck of your own and you're just using it as a like reset, it can be just as strong. So it just really depends on how you want to use it, but I definitely think it's going to be a definite addition to the board wipe family that we definitely needed. So I think this is going to be great, especially for white.
I agree. I think as soon as the rotation happens, we're not going to just be saying blood on the snow. It's everywhere. We're also going to be talking about Vanquish the Horde. So next we have Sagarta Splendor. 2 white, 2 colorless for an enchantment. As Sagarta Splendor enters the battlefield, note your life total. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if your life total is greater than or equal to the last noted life total for Sagarta Splendor. Then note your life total. Whenever you cast a white spell, you gain 1 life. I don't see it. I mean, there's a lot of words going on here. It's a lot of tricky words. I don't want to be playing this on non-digital for sure.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a lot of work to draw a card maybe sometimes. I'd rather just play Cosmos Elixir. So what are you thinking here?
Yeah, this definitely is going to fit in a very specific shell. Like, life gain decks, especially seeing now with like Selesnya being like a life gain build deck, I've seen a lot of people try to go off in that direction to get +++1s and then like scry and that kind of stuff. So depending where you're at there, you might be able to draw that card that you scried. So I don't know. There's that, but I think it might help push a little bit more in like those cleric or angel or like cleric class decks that you're really kind of like abusing life totals. So when you note it at the very beginning when it comes out, but you're gaining 2 life, that means you're always going to be gaining extra life. So you should always be drawing a card. So, and if you're playing in that direction, then maybe that might help you out if you're not getting those angels or not getting those clerics fast enough. But I mean, as a 4-drop, I don't know. I feel like it's on the heavy side. Like if it was a little bit lower, I might see this as an auto include, but I think it's very niche in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a hard pass. I do not like this. It seems like a whole turn off to maybe draw cards sometimes, and there's a lot better things you could be doing, in my opinion. So, okay. Well, I've been wrong in the past, though. So, next we have Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. 2 blue, 3 colorless for a legendary creature, human wizard. It's a 3/4. Spells can't be countered. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. I don't think you throw this on turn 5. It definitely goes in a very specific shell, and you have to be able to protect it because it just doesn't really have a hard ETB. That being said, I could see this maybe taking over games and helping you win.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like this card. I really love it. Izzet decks, mono blue decks, Dimir getting even some more action here. I mean, think about Onyx decks. If you're playing a Dimir control, and being able to put this guy out, still be able to maybe protect him initially, or if he comes out late game after you've done board wipes or things along those lines, but you're able to replay certain spells immediately and get Drive Onyx up, I think that's even even more amazing. Limerith's decks, where you already have this 5/5 dragon drawing you cards, you might be manipulating your board a little bit, and now he's helping you do that a little bit more. Or even with Izzet controls, I mean, think about Expressive Iteration. Think about Prismari Command, Behold the Multiverse. Like, all these cards instantly now have extra bonus for those Izzet decks, so you're able to kind of like drive further. Being at a 5, you're right. I think he's more like later. Like, you hold him in your hand until you like want to just re-up and like literally refill your whole hand because you have enough mana. Maybe you drew some treasures and you're able to like do some stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he plays into those decks.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that this is mainly maybe a 1 to 2 of in the sideboard and best of 3, but that's just me. We'll see. So next, Spectral Adversary. 1 blue, 1 colorless, creature spirit. It's a 2/1 flash. I always love that. Also has flying. When Spectral Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 colorless and 1 blue any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Spectral Adversary. Then, up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, and or enchantments phase out. So, I kind of like that every color is obviously getting an adversary, as we've seen, and we're about to see, because we have another one coming up right after this. I don't know if this is as good as the white one, in my opinion. Maybe the phase out will be really good. I don't know. This one seems okay. It seems like it could be amazing. It seems like maybe not.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I feel it's more kind of like a protection. You know what I mean? So it kind of gets it so it can save it just in case. So if you're going to get board wiped, or if someone's going to like try to remove something of yours, you're able to kind of like pull them out and then bring them back. So I was more thinking along the lines of like an Izzet deck, where you're already maybe like attacking with dragons, or you're doing something along those lines, and then they go to wipe the board. So they go to Blood in the Snow, and in response, you drop this card, and you pay 4 because you have a dragon and your 2 treasures, boom, boom, boom. So you phase out both the dragons that you want to live. You don't care anymore about the adversary, so he dies, and then they phase back in. And then on your turn, you kill them. So I don't know. I think there's possibilities there.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and next we have another adversary, Bloodthirsty Adversary. 1 red, 1 colorless for a creature vampire. It's a 2/2 with haste. When Bloodthirsty Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 colorless and a red any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Bloodthirsty Adversary, then exile up to that many target instants and or sorcery cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard and copy them. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. Now, for mono red, I think that's amazing because you either have a 2/2 with haste on turn 2 or late game turn 5 plus you're getting value. I think this is pretty much an auto include in any mono red aggro deck right now if that becomes a thing again. So what do you think?
Yeah. I think mono red definitely is going to see a lot of value out of this. I was thinking more multicolor though, like maybe is it Spellslinger or Rakdos Sacrifice. Okay. I think they can get some value out of this too because it comes out early, like you said. So you have a 2/2 with haste. You're already doing what you want to do. But say it does come out on turn 5, or even turn 7, whatever, and you have the mana to kind of manipulate or do. And if you're playing a sacrifice deck, then you can instantly copy like Village Rites, Deadly Dispute, those type of things to draw into more cards and kind of get back into value. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it has a lot of alternative value in a lot of different decks.
Okay, well, next we have a 2-sided card. We finally got one in on this preview. We have Reckless Stormseeker, and the backside is Storm Charged Slasher. So Reckless Stormseeker is 1 red, 2 colorless for a human werewolf, which is a power toughness of 2/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. It is daybound. The backside is a 3/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. And of course, Nightbound. So this might be a decent 3-drop for a mono red deck.
So I was thinking more of a Gruul deck, where werewolves are getting stronger, keeping to the Gruul werewolf curve and helping to give your creatures haste, and even himself. So, I mean, he kind of keeps on curve. So you have your, turn 2, he's your turn 3 if you can't give like Tovlar out. There's stuff like that where it can fit into those, but also even just in the normal Gruul curve as well. So I think he's actually stronger than we think, just due to the fact that he's driving your other creatures forward.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about it like that. So if your opponent has it at nighttime, since it is a board state of like that, for 3
Yeah.
mana, you basically have a 5/4 with haste and trample
Yep.
for 3 mana.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And then when you think about it on the front side, it's actually a 3/3 with haste. Because it can give it to itself. So, I wasn't even looking at the stats like that, but that's pretty interesting. I like it. Okay. Next, let's get into some of them where I'm going to mispronounce the words. Let's go with Rem Carolus Stewart Slayer. 1 white, 1 red, 1 colorless for a legendary creature human knight. It's a 2/3 with flying and haste. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage. If a spell would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. I mean, the fact that this has haste, and even though it's only a 2/3 and it's flying though, the fact that it has haste is semi an ETB. So yes, it doesn't actually do anything when it enters the battlefield if your opponent has removal immediately, but it can attack that turn, and it has all of that kind of interesting, crazy text. I think this might see some play.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for this card. I mean, this fits so many different formats.
Boros.
Yeah, but for us specifically in 2022, Boros equipment or maybe just a Boros value deck might see some upgrades because of this card. So think of it this way: maybe you have like a turn 3 Rem, and then you go turn 4 into the Bruno Battlehammer. So then you auto equip for free, and then on turn 5 you drop an Adult Dragon or equip that one. So I mean, you're always constantly coming forward and you're dealing more and more damage. And the cool part is, if you're playing against like a mono red deck, the chances of them killing some of your creatures just dropped.
Well, they can't kill this unless you choose to block something that can kill it. I don't think mono red can get rid of this creature.
No, because
unless you choose to lose it.
100%.
Well, it prevents all damage from spells. How do they kill this?
And that's the coolest part. That's why I love it. That's why I think you're gonna see a lot more Boros decks coming out soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to see a lot more mono red for this deck to be able to beat up on. Next, we have Catilda Dawnheart Headwitch, which is 1 white, 1 green for a legendary creature human warlock as a 1/1. Better do a whole lot as a 1/1 for 2 mana. Protection from werewolves. I don't think that's going to do it for me so far. Each human you control has tap, add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors, and then pay 4 colorless, 1 green, 1 white, and tap it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. I mean, I think I see a late game strong card, early game weak card. I don't know. I'm not super hot on this. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, Selesnya, like I said, keeps getting more and more stuff. So I think the right build, this kind of fits into it. So what I was kind of thinking about was maybe like turn 2, you play Catilda, just to get it out there if you want to, or you can play it later. It's up to you. Turn 3, you play like Battle of Britigard, which is the Saga card that creates a token that creates a token. And then turn 4, you could play Sigrid's Champion, and then turn 5, Maja. So you're creating a ton of humans real quick. And by doing that, then immediately you tap them because Catilda is on the board, and now they all pump. So I mean, that's one way to do it, but we'll see. I think this card is a little bit of a try hard. I think it might be more of a commander card that you're trying to like, build around and do that kind of thing. But we'll see, because like I said, Selesnya just did get a big bump, and maybe it'll be something amazing.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at more of the humans and see exactly what's out there at the moment. I don't know. Maybe it's super strong. We'll see. Okay, next we have Vadric Astral Archmage. 1 red, 1 blue, 1 colorless, legendary creature, human wizard. It is a 1/2. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Vadric Astral Archmage enters the battlefield. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is Vadric's power. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on Vadric. So, once again, another one of those cards, no like extreme huge ETB other than it does make it become daytime, so that could be huge in the in the next format, who knows. But it definitely has the possibility of scaling your side of the game out of control pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at it too. It's really dependent on your opponent too, because if they're playing a lot of like night and day and night kind of stuff, they're pumping this dude, and I think that's amazing. So think about like taking turns faster, or, think about that artifact, the Celestius, the one where you can like tap it to make day into night, night into day. Those kind of things might be very beneficial for him. Early on, I mean, one less is great, but if there's any way you can pump him at all with anything, just for
I didn't even realize if it's neither day nor night, he comes in as a 2/3.
Yes. And then the other thing too is if you pump him, say with a red spell, and give him like a +3 for 1.
Yeah.
So now he's a 4. So that means if you have 3 mana on the board, you can now, or 4 mana on the board, I mean, you can basically like take an extra turn immediately. So those kind of things might like break this guy depending on what we see. So that's how I'm looking at it, because making spells cheaper is always one of those things that every Magic player loves.
True. It's very true. Okay, next we have Slogger, the Overslime. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless for a legendary creature Ooze. It is a 3/3 with trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogger, the Overslime. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Slogger. Return it to its owner's hand. Then Slogger leaves the battlefield. Return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. There's a lot of words there, but I don't know if Standard 22 has anything to do with all of that text.
Yeah, I was looking at it from more of a soul type build. And with like a graveyard recursion theme, trying to get the best of both worlds. So when you're searching for like a card, we'll say with like Onyx, right? And you have to pick the best card and you drop the other 2, and most likely you're dropping lands. You still get value out of this creature. So if there's any kind of cards right now that, when we do have a lot of them, where you're kind of like digging into your graveyard, you're like dropping stuff into your graveyard, then he's only getting value. He's only getting bigger. So he might fit more into that build. I was trying to see if he might fit into, some kind of like landfall build, and where if he dies, you get 3 lands back, and then you can like immediately start building back into your landfall. So I don't know. I mean, see, again, it's very specific. He might be better in Historic, to be honest, and we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think Standard 22 has enough support for him to get lands into the graveyard to make it, relevant, but I would love to see the deck where you can. So, okay, next we have a Planeswalker that is both loved and hated by all of Magic community. We have Teferi, who slows the sunset. 1 blue, 1 white, 2 colorless for a legendary Planeswalker Teferi. 4 loyalty upon coming into play. +1, choose up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target land. So you're choosing one of everything if able. Untap the chosen permanents you control. Tap the chosen permanents you don't control. You gain 2 life. So a little bit of protection-ish, but not super strong. -2, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And then -7, you get an emblem with untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and draw a card during each opponent's draw step. So, I think people are definitely going to be trying to jam this in their deck and see if they can win with it. I mean, the art alone is amazing. Everybody loves a Teferi. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Teferi, and especially because I like playing control. So I like this Planeswalker in a hard lock shell. In Azorius, especially with like the new board wipe, the Vanquish the Horde, being able to be cast for 2 is kind of huge. And that emblem is basically game over. Being able to untap all of your mana and being able to draw extra cards is just completely broken. So like Seaborn Muse in green, untapping it on everybody's turn, just if you can build around that, it's just stupid. So I honestly think Teferi not being able to protect himself is going to be a little bit difficult. So I think if you're going to build around this and try to make Teferi a win more card, I guess, you're definitely going to have to build more of that lockout control deck.
I agree. I definitely think we're going to be seeing a lot of it played, but I don't know how strong it is right out the gate. Next, we have a Siphon Insight. 1 blue, 1 black for an instant. Look at the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Exile one of them face down and put the other on the bottom of that library. You may look at and play the exiled card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast this spell. It can flash back for 1 black, 1 blue, and 1 colorless. So, if you hit something great, that's cool, but if you don't, it's a whiff. It just seems like a whole lot of text to maybe do something well.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun card. You know, like if you're playing control deck already, I mean, especially in Dimir, it's just basically an extra tool for them to use, especially if you're able to flash it back. I mean, I think a lot of those decks that you play, like Xanthar, the Beholder, you like love to do this kind of stuff.
Maybe there.
So you're already kind of like trying to manipulate the top of their deck. Plus, you already see the top of their deck with Xanthar, so you have a little bit more use out of it. So say you already used it early on, and then on the back end you flash it back because Xanthar's on the board. Then you can already see what you're kind of getting into. So you can kind of pick and choose when you want to flash it back. So I don't know. It just depends. Like I think being able to manipulate or take control of somebody else's stuff is always fun. So I definitely think you're going to see this a lot.
Okay, in a Xanthar or a very vacuum like environment deck like that, this is amazing. Otherwise, I don't think it's getting a lot of play, but I love that you thought of that. I did not think Xanthar right off the gate. So, okay, lastly, we have a new land coming out, and it is a two-sided land. The front side is Hostile, which is tap for 1 colorless, or pay 1 and tap, sacrifice a creature, put a soul counter on Hostile. Then, if there are 3 or more soul counters on it, remove those counters, transform it, and then untap it. Activate only as a sorcery. That part I don't like right there. But other than that, I think this is a solid land so far. Let's see what the backside is. It is Creeping In. Artifact, Creature, Horror, Construct. It is a 3/7. So when you flip it to this side, it untaps, and now you have an untapped 3/7. Whenever Creeping In attacks, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard, which you should have, because you had to do that for the front side. If you do, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creature cards exiled with Creeping In, which is probably going to be 3. And then you can pay 4 colorless, and you don't have to tap it. You just pay 4 colorless, Creeping In phases out. So, I mean, there's a lot of text here. It's doing a whole lot of stuff, and I think that this could definitely see some play in best of 1 after rotation. I think there's definitely going to see 1 or 2 ofs. What do you think? You like this card?
Yeah, especially in sacrifice decks. I think it is an auto include for those kind of decks.
It's an outlet.
Because it's an outlet. You built it right into your mechanic, and that is the hardest thing to do for most sacrifice decks.
True.
Is trying
And
to
this
get
is
that
a
outlet.
land. It's just
And this is
there.
a land,
You don't have
so
to
it's
cast
just
it.
there.
They can't counter it, and there's almost no way for anyone to even remove it.
Yeah, it 100% dries up the value for sacrifice decks. So imagine like you need to get rid of that eye twitch or that ghast. Now you can. You literally can just target it, kill it, and now lesson and learn, and then the gas, get that treasure you were trying to get, and so it kind of fits into that. But then even the late game, think about like
it's a 3/7. It attacks. You automatically take 3 every time it attacks because you've sacrificed 3 creatures on the front side. You can phase it out and protect it. I don't know. I'm just excited about this land. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it really does change that mindset. So that's why I think it's going to be fun. I think this land is definitely going to see play in those kind of decks.
I think there's going to be some definite twitches in the future when you see this drop on turn 2 or 3. You're like, oh, hostile. No, they're going to blood on the snow soon.
Yep.
So, no, I don't know. Probably more of a Rakdos shell if I had to guess. So, okay, Will. Well, that was a blast. That's all we have for you all today. Before I sign off, Will, is there anything you would like to say to everybody?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribing. Thank you for checking us out for the first time if you're a first-time viewer. And we definitely like to make this content fun, so keep enjoying us.
Yeah, we have enjoyed all of you who have been hitting subscribe, interacting with us in the comments, and in appreciation, we are going live September 24th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time to give away all kinds of fun stuff. Check the description down below to find out exactly what I'm talking about, and it's not too late for you. You can still hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell, and as long as you have met those conditions when we go live, you can win some fun stuff too. Thank you everybody out there, and until next time, have a blast in the arena.